God is good all the time. And today I got a little gate mending job I have to do. Just recently actually just this morning, we got some netting in, some livestock netting, and we are letting our chickens free range out in the front yard in our new garden area, just south of our, or just north of our orchard we just put in. So we're going to be frequenting this gate a lot more, and it's high time that we went ahead and did a little bit of repair work on it. My wife, she attempted to fix it. Well, I chuckle a little bit because bless her heart, she means well, and she did a functional job. And to her credit, I have to admit that maybe I should have fixed it a couple of years back. Okay, all this was coming apart here, and so she took some extra wire I had laying around and wired it shut. It's functional, it works, but we'll see if we can make that just a little bit better. Now, a couple of years back, maybe last year, I went ahead and repaired this corner. These are 2.5-inch carriage bolts, and just put some, obviously, just nuts and washers on the back side, and that did a lot better than just putting in sheetrock screws. So today we're going to do the other gate the same way, and then we also have the gate binding at the bottom, and I put these turnbuckles in when I built the gate, so probably at least 20 years ago, if not more. Yeah, I think it's been more. Kids were just itty bitty when I built this, so we can corral them. But it served us well. I think when I go to replace these gates or rebuild some new ones, what I'll do is I'll have 2x6 frames, and it'll be just a little bit more sturdy. I wanted to make the gates lightweight, so they, these are like, just guessing maybe 5 feet across, 5 feet across here, so I make a 10-foot opening. And a few years back, was it last year? I think it was last year, I put in these new 6x6 pressure treated posts in concrete, and because our other 4x4 cedar posts have rotted out, after that 20 years. So it's high time that I do a little bit of maintenance on the fence, and we're going to go ahead and get this fixed up and make these gates to where they don't bind on us. Down there at the bottom, you see they just barely pinch together. So I've got a quick little fix to make that problem disappear. So this will shut well. I mean, when I first built this gate, you could just blow on the thing and it would shut and latch really nicely, but that's been a few years back, so let's get started. We got 3/8 galvanized carriage bolts, and of course a 3/8 inch drill bit to drill through this material here. This is cedar. And being she's already got this nicely wrapped together, I don't really need a clamp to clamp this. Well, here I happen to have some extra washers and extra stainless steel nylock nuts to go on the back side. So when I built these, I cut in this joint here so I can lock this all together. And the drywall screws that I had and I used, they actually worked really well for several years, but as you can see, not so much anymore. And the wood actually is still pretty sound. So I think I'll leave these gates in service for a couple more years. I have another gate on the back side of the property that I really need to address in the posts, so I'll be tempering this up and then also getting that back gate rebuilt this year. Now the way these turnbuckles work is when I turn these in this way, then these two eyes here draw closer together. Thus this cable actually draws the gate and draws the sag out of it. So when I go up above, this is tight, and I level out my latching mechanism at the top, like so. Now these gates still have a lot of slop to them. I'll take a little bit of that out of there by putting some gussets in here and truing that up. Now I have a pretty extravagant way of taking that bind out of that bottom right there. I leveled my posts up so my gates must not be exactly square. But when I put the posts in on each side, I did put them in plumb, and I did put them in such a way that they were all square, and the distance between each post, the left and right, for the left and right gates were square and true. So my gates over the years must have got some slop in them. So I'm going to take this gap out of here, this binding at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and move Mama's fix out of the way here. Okay, this got the gate manageable to where it shuts nice. And that was just as simple as putting bar widths of kerf in between the two gates to where they could open and shut. I was paying particular attention to keeping it straight and true. You can only do so good with a chainsaw. And I think it looks pretty good. If I really wanted to get carried away, I could dismantle this and sand it or run it through the planer or take it down on a table saw. Not really concerned about it. And anybody who runs up on this thing and looks at it will never notice. You might if you come by, because I just showed it to you. I could even take a belt sander and true that up a little bit if I really wanted to. Now, this gate's getting old, so eventually what I'll do is just go ahead and replace it. I could probably just even use the same hardware here and these same heavy-duty hinges, and just go ahead and use what I got here. Those are still perfectly good. You can see the outside of the gate where I trimmed here. The cedar is still solid. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll put a couple of carriage bolts down here like I did with this other last year or year before or whenever I did it, and go ahead and get this corner here solidified. And I just remembered, I don't like using the locking nuts on carriage bolts because it causes the carriage bolt to spin, because the nut comes up tight on a Teflon, and it you know, when I go to take these apart, that might cause the head of this thing to spin. Generally, when I'm using carriage bolts, I like to use just the regular nuts on there. So I found a couple of nuts in my spare nuts and bolts bin, and I'll use that for the bottom here. So when I go to take these gates apart, I'll probably have to rip the top apart with a just power saw or something to just tear it apart to make it work. See the condition of those drywall screws. Not really meant for outdoor use. These other ones are about 1.25 inches, and then 1 inch. I usually try to place things 1 inch off of the edges. And in case you guys wasn't aware, or you're looking for ways of making your gates wider and you want to hand make them, I highly encourage the turnbuckles. And you just fasten those on the top corners up in here, and you always want to come down this way towards the bottom of the gate in the corner of the bottom down there. And then the other feature I like is you can always use this side here and open this up. But in the event that you want to drive a vehicle back here, you just take a piece of ready rod and bend it at a 90-degree angle. You heat that up with a torch. You go down to your hardware store and buy this stuff. This is 1/2 inch. And then I just got some angle iron. So I had some old angle iron I had sitting around here, and just mounted that to this front portion here, and just drop that down in the front. And then I can just open this gate up to the outside. I have a livestock net in the way, so I can't show you that this will open up 90 degrees to where you can drive a vehicle in here. And these things are pretty nice little poultry netting. I call it a poultry netting because we got poultry, but it's actually a livestock net. You can hook up electricity to this and electrify it to keep predators out or keep your livestock in. But they're pretty nice. All you have to do, take and stretch the bottom of the net out, put it vertical, and just step on the net right there, and it holds pretty good. I mean, it is what it is. It's pretty flimsy. I can put a nail in here if I really wanted to and hook this like I did over here on the other side. You can see here where I put some nails here, and that will catch this. I have it very tight down there at the bottom, so this actually leans right up against the fence itself. But down here at the very bottom, I just have a 16-penny nail. I just nailed it into the pressure treated 6x6 this way, and then I bended it at a 90-degree angle and put this hook in there so I can hook the fencing. And then I can always just unhook this here and pull the net out of the way, or put it in some other location. So that works out pretty good. So we have our little rototillers out just doing their job, tilling to their heart's content. Hopefully they're getting lots of bugs and working up any of the invasive plant life we got around here. We got morning glory real bad. They don't eat morning glory. It's chickens are pretty smart. They know what to eat and what not to eat. So you just put that holding. I got a pipe in the ground, driven in the ground where this just falls into, and that keeps the gate from opening and shutting. And at the top we got that clasp, and between both of them the gate stays shut. So hopefully you got some kind of use out of this video. That's just what I've been doing today. Got some more projects I got to do, so we'll go ahead and sign off for now. Thanks for stopping by. Take care, and God bless.